The Red Book, Carl Jung's secret diary of the soul. For decades, it was locked away, unseen, unread, and shrouded in mystery. A massive crimson journal, hand-painted and written in calligraphy, filled with visions of gods, demons, and the voice of Jung's own soul. It was called the Red Book. Carl Jung, the father of modern depth psychology, called it his most important work. Yet for almost 80 years, the world never saw it. Tonight, we open its pages and journey into Carl Jung's secret diary of the soul. Section 1. The Breaking Point. In 1913, Carl Jung's life was falling apart. He had just broken with Sigmund Freud, his mentor and friend, the man who once called him his heir. Professionally isolated, spiritually restless, Jung began to experience terrifying visions, floods of blood covering Europe, oceans swallowing cities, and the voice of an old man whispering from the depths of his mind. He feared he was going insane. But when World War I erupted the following year, he realized something extraordinary. His visions weren't madness. They were prophecies from the collective unconscious. And so began Jung's greatest experiment, to descend into his own soul consciously. Section 2. Active Imagination, Entering the Unconscious. Every night, Jung entered a waking dream. He called this practice active imagination, a dialogue between the conscious mind and the figures of the unconscious. He would close his eyes, allow images to arise, and speak to the beings that appeared, not as fantasies, but as living realities within the psyche. He met gods, serpents, prophets, and his own shadow. He traveled through deserts and underworlds, seeking meaning in what others would have dismissed as madness. But Jung believed that if one does not confront the unconscious, it will invade life in destructive ways. As he wrote, the psychological rule says that when an inner situation is not made conscious, it happens outside, as fate. Section 3. The Birth of the Red Book. In 1914 to 1930, Jung poured his visions into a massive leather-bound journal, Liber Novus, meaning the New Book. He painted vivid mandalas, ancient symbols, and mythic landscapes that came to him in trance. Every word he wrote was illuminated in red and gold, like a medieval manuscript, part psychology, part scripture. This was not meant for publication. It was a dialogue between Jung's ego and the divine forces of his psyche, a private initiation into the mysteries of the soul. He called the figures he met archetypes, universal patterns that live in all human beings. Section 4. Meeting the Inner Guides. Among the beings Jung met in the Red Book, two stood out above all others. Philemon, a wise old man with the wings of a king's fisher, who became Jung's inner teacher, and Salome, a dark, seductive feminine force, the embodiment of his anima, his inner soul. Through their conversations, Jung learned that the unconscious was not a chaotic void, but a living intelligence. Philemon told him, "You must not be guided by the thoughts of others. Find your own myth, live it, and it will save you." Jung realized that modern humanity had lost contact with myth, with the symbolic language of the soul. And this loss was the true source of neurosis. Section 5. The Alchemy of the Soul. Out of his descent came a vision that shaped all of Jung's later work, the process of individuation, the transformation of the personality through the integration of the unconscious. It is the alchemy of the soul, where lead becomes gold and shadow becomes light. The Red Book was his personal alchemical text, where the chaos of visions was distilled into wisdom. He saw the psyche as a living mandala, each human life a a circle returning to its center. He wrote, "Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." Section 6. The astrological and archetypal dimension. Even the cosmos, Jung believed, reflected this inner journey. He saw astrology not as prediction, but as synchronicity, the language through which the universe mirrors the psyche. His own chart tells this story. Sun in Cancer, the deep waters of intuition and emotion. Mars in Scorpio, the fearless explorer of shadow and death. Moon in Aries, the warrior spirit that confronts the unknown. His Atma Karaka, Mars, pointed to a soul mission of transformation, to descend into the unconscious and bring back its gold. Jung's Red Book was written under this cosmic signature, a man fulfilling the very myth written in his stars. Section 7. Secrecy and Revelation. After Jung's death in 1961, the Red Book was locked away by his family. They feared it would be misunderstood or seen as evidence of insanity. For decades, scholars whispered about it like forbidden scripture. Finally, in 2009, nearly a century later, it was published for the first time. A 400-page illuminated manuscript described by one reviewer as the Holy Grail of the unconscious. It revealed Jung not as a detached scientist, but as a visionary mystic who walked through the underworld and returned with a map of the soul. Section 8. The Legacy of the Red Book. Today, the Red Book stands as one of the most extraordinary testaments to the power of inner experience. It reminds us that enlightenment is not found in escape, but in confrontation, in descending into our darkness and discovering the light hidden there. Carl Jung once wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." The Red Book was his journey toward that truth, his dialogue with God, shadow, and the human soul. So now I ask you, have you begun your own Red Book yet? Drop a red square in the comments if this inspired you to explore your inner world. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share for more journeys into psychology, mythology, and the stars.